Now, normally your hair extensions, if you're taking them out at this point, they have grown out, whereas my client here, she just got some this morning. So, you know, she didn't like them. They didn't match her natural texture, and I don't blame her. This is probably the worst beaver tail I've ever seen. So let's go ahead and take them out. To do that, I'm going to use one of these. You can see that the tip of these scissors here is pretty fine and pointy. That's going to allow us to just kind of nip the thread that we want to nip without getting any additional hair stuck in there. So if you can find something like this, these are just some regular, sorry, a car is driving by. These are just some regular old Fiskars. The micro tip is the name of these scissors. They come in a lot of different lengths and sizes. This is one of my favorites. They're real handy. They also make very similar products that maybe are a different brand. You just want to look for that tip that is like that ooh ah ah sensation. You know, that tiny little guy. Cool. Use a couple clips. All right, these guys are great. These work well. You can totally use a butterfly clip for a rubber band, or a hair tie, better than a rubber band. You know, rummage around, look what you got. And then I am gonna use a rat tail. And the reason that I like to use a rat tail, so this is a comb, obviously, that's called a rat tail because it has this long pin tail here. This one happens to be metal. They come in plastic. If you're buying one to take your extensions out, get the metal. It's a lot easier to use. The point on this is a lot finer. The plastic ones will work, but I don't recommend them. Usually there's like a seam that runs down the plastic mold on the plastic rat tails, especially if you're buying a cheaper one, no offense. And it kind of just makes it more difficult to work with than one of these. And these, you should be able to find one of these really cheap if Sally's open. This is a Crest brand, I think. I'm right. But you know, I don't have my fancy Japanese tools here. I have a couple of overpriced clips, but that's besides the point. You don't need fancy. You just need it to work and work for you. So first thing you're going to do is section off your hair. Oh, and we're going to take out some pinch braids, and then we're going to work on the weave that we have here. So first thing you're going to do is kind of find a row, if you will, of hair extensions. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I only gave her 3 pinch braids and 1 row of a weave. So your head is going to feel a little different, but I wanted to not skip this part because sometimes people are confused as to how am I gonna dig around here and find a row. You're going to slide your fingers against the scalp as best as you can and feel around for your extensions. Now again, they're going to be grown out and hers are not right now. Once you kind of nuzzle your fingers in between some extensions, I'm going to lift this section to kind of show you. All right, so we've got this section. There's a couple of these, like, I like to call them friends. There's a couple of these like pieces of hair. Just gonna move those out of the way. It's not the cleanest section, but it's gonna work. This is just a good starting spot. So get this hair that we're not working with secured and out of the way using a clip of your choice. I'm gonna use one of these duckbill clips. These are shark clips if anyone wants to buy really expensive. Okay, this is a knockoff. This is the shark clip. If anyone wants to buy really nice, expensive Japanese clips, these are wonderful. If you, you can't see that. If you have thicker hair, these clips work really, really great. The yellow one is the YS Park. This is a complete knockoff that's not as great. I recommend the YS Park, but you're gonna be spending about 20 bucks for 2 clips, so. There you go. If you ever want to know why your haircuts are so expensive, that's why. All right, cool. So here we are. Here's my client. Here's the section. It's not the neatest, so I'm going to just kind of refine it, try to get all this additional hair out of the way. Now, right away, you're going to notice one thing that is not going to be true for your extensions. This is a poor job of matching thread color to hair color, but I used this thread color for a good reason. It's all I had at home. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take these out. So if we're looking at this first one, let's see how close I can get here. Bear with me, I'm just using a phone. I'm not a video person. Cool. So we're gonna take this one out. So real quick, let's just go over the anatomy of a pinch braid. So a pinch braid is a braid of hair where we have, so a braid is three pieces, right? There's three sort of legs, we'll call them. Usually the middle, sorry for this for giving you the bird. The middle strand is gonna be the human hair. And then as you can see here, there's this little wrap, there's this bubble, this sort of round shape up here. It's right kind of underneath where this little thread line is. This round shape is where the extension hair wraps over the human hair and becomes the second two legs, making a total of three, if you're following along. 3 legs of the braid. So middle leg is usually the human hair right at the start, and then all bets are off. And the other 2 legs are extension hair. Now to the naked eye, you can't really see this on camera, but to the naked eye, you can tell slightly that there is a little bit of a shine difference between the extension hair and my model's hair. And that is because extension hair is processed in a way that human hair cannot be, because the extension hair, when it is processed, is not attached to a living person. So they're allowed to use chemicals that would otherwise probably give you cancer or worse. Okay, so that's gonna be kind of one good thing to look for. Look for the shiniest pieces in this trifecta. Here's the back side of the braid. You can see I'm twisting the root. Here's the front, twisting it to the left to show you the underneath section. Here's the one leg. And then on this side, we've got another leg, and here is our third leg of the braid. This I can tell right away is human hair. It's a slightly different color. It is a slightly different shine. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for the shiny hair, the extension hair, where that meets our thread here. And where that meets this thread is where we're gonna cut. So you may not see this, but trust me, this is extension hair underneath this thread here. That's where you wanna take your fine tip scissor, get it really close to this thread, and we're not shoving it in, okay? We're just very lightly placing it next to the thread and snipping. Okay, so I didn't cut all of it. Guess what? Life goes on. Made another little snip. And now this is when having a metal rat tail is gonna be really helpful. So first I'm gonna show you, I don't have a metal rat tail at home, Will. What am I supposed to do? I can't do what you're doing. Bullshit. This is how you're gonna do it. We're gonna kind of try to work some of that free. It may be stiffer. Again, she just got these extensions this morning and hates them, so we're taking them out. Yours might have a little bit of product buildup. Maybe there's a little bit of natural sebum. So it might not do this. It might just stay really tightly braided. Your stylist is probably really good at extensions, especially if you got them done by me. So you're just gonna take the comb part, the teeth part of your comb, and you're gonna slowly start working that tail free. Now right away, you can see this is just too easy for her. This texture of extension hair, meaning her hair. Mannequins are kind of funny like that too. Some stuff is really hard, some stuff is easy. Braiding this, nightmare, looks disgusting. Taking it out, super easy. Just keep working at it, carefully working from the bottom to the top until you get it all the way out. And then you're gonna see this loop. Pull this loop and it'll come out. Now you're still gonna have this section of hair here. You can kind of see, even though her hair was clean and dry when we put her extensions in, it's still kind of compressed into the shape. And you can totally call me out that she has curly hair. She totally does. That's a part of it, but, and it's a mannequin. This is the section you still want to work with, right? So you still aren't using your tail. I'm just using it to point, but you're still going to take this and just slowly comb out those hairs that have naturally shed and kind of stuck to your natural hair. So you're gonna comb from the roots up and make sure that you're combing it all the way out to the end of the hair, right? So the hair is now free and we have one extension out. Let's go over that again. Here's our braid, here's our thread. Your thread is gonna be a lot closer to your extension color, unless your stylist did a terrible job matching. We're gonna look for the shiniest bits of hair we can find. For me, that's this piece right here. I'm gonna take my fine tip scissors and barely inserting it, I'm gonna close. Now, one of the reasons we're doing this is if we cut any hair at all, it's gonna be extension hair. Sorry, the wind just kicked up and a extension went flying. Okay, hopefully it'll keep the rabbits out of my garden. Okay, so if we cut any hair at all, it's gonna be extension hair because we just lowered our scissor barely into the extension part. And you can see here, I'm not a machine, I'm a human person. And I did actually end up cutting a few hair strands. Can you see that? But they're my client's extension hair. And that is a much better hair to cut. Now let's say you magically have a rat tail, or you waited and you found one on Amazon and it finally got delivered to your house. A rat tail is going to be easy because you can just insert it into this braid and slide it down, insert it into the braid and slide it down, and it's going to help unwind this braid a lot faster. So if your extensions are really grown out and you notice that you have a bunch of hair that has shed, that has built up into your extension, and your extensions are going to be a good finger's width away from your head, so that the braid is probably going to start here. If that's the case and you have a rat tail, you can kind of pick through your extension section with your rat tail to break up that cluster. That'll help. And if you don't, again, take the teeth of your comb, just go slow. Start at the very, very bottom, comb through your hair, comb up to the little knot, just keep combing, detangle, detangle, detangle. We're done. We're just gonna do it one more time. Is it boring yet? Do you feel like you could do my job? Because I feel like anyone could do my job at this point. Okay, so here we are, last extension. I'm just getting all these little friends out of the way. She's got a lot of friends in this section. You guys, I braided it this morning when my cats were basically fighting on the table because I'm a jerk and I let my cats on the table. All right, here we are. Here's our braid, there's the top, here's our thread. It's pretty obvious. Where's the shiniest bit? I always braid my extensions the same, and so when I take mine out, I know it's always here. It's always this left section here. But sometimes it's weird. Sometimes, because I'm not a machine, it's all funny and it looks like this, and I can't tell where the hair is, and there's like this little V right here. See how this leg and these legs meet together and it's forming this little V. Sometimes it's kind of scary. Take your time. Another way you can tell that it's really windy is that my tripod's moving. Another way you can tell that this is extension hair is when I'm putting those legs together, there's a piece of thread that we use to secure our extensions. They're in that leg. So if I can see this little piece of thread, it's gonna be matte. It's not gonna be shiny. I know that's an extension leg. So I know I can safely cut into this. And guess what? When we flip it over, bam, it's still the left side. Because that's always where I cut my extensions, because that's how I braid. Snip. Just use the comb. Comb it out. Comb, comb, comb. Comb, comb, comb. Comb, comb, comb. There's our little loop. We can pull that loop out and your pinch braids are out. Great. But let's say you have a weave, you don't have pinch braids. That's okay, we got you covered. So same thing, you're gonna kind of want to feel around, feel where that extension is, feel where she lies. She is here, gorgeous. I just did it this morning. All right. Twist our hair up out of the way that we're not using. This is gonna be a little different than a pinch braid. We're not looking at legs. This looks a little bit different. This is kind of like a blanket stitch. It's a double knotted stitch, just kind of a double knotted whip stitch. We just stitched this down to the braid. Again, yours is gonna be grown out, so yours isn't gonna be snug against the scalp unless you just got extensions in quarantine, in which case you better be living with that person for quarantine. So we're gonna wanna take this whole row of all of these stitches out first. And to do that, we're gonna grab our little scissor. We're gonna look at the anatomy of what this is. So you can see that there are what we call wefts right here. And a weft is what extension hair is kind of bound together by. You may have something that looks identical to this. This is called a machine weft. And you may have something that's a lot flatter and slimmer. That would be called a hand-tied weft. There's really not a difference right now in terms of taking it out. Just know that if yours looks a little different than this in the mirror, you probably just have a smaller, flatter hand-tied weft. If you want me to make a video on the difference between wefts and why I like one over the other, I'm more than happy to do that. But right now, let's just get this shit out of your head. So we're gonna kind of look for these bars that are running this way, coming straight out. And we're gonna kind of wiggle this underneath one of those threads and snip it. Then we're just gonna keep going across this whole track until all of our threads are cut out. Snip, snip. So you can kind of see since we got one corner out, even if I had started in the middle, we could have started doing this lifting. Now, most of my clients will have 2 wefts, and if you're a Hairpolice client, you'll probably have 2 wefts. You may have 1, and that's okay. There's a good reason we put 1, because that was the right amount for you. But if you have 2, you can also kind of open it like a book, and that'll kind of give you a channel to slide your scissors in between, and then we know we're just cutting threads and not into your braid underneath. Cool, so a weft is held on by 2 cornrows that we braid that are best friends, and they meet in the middle. So some of this is just junky junk leftover thread that we already cut. But this is actually the guts of how your braids stay together. So this is where your 2 cornrows, so they start over here in the corner. You can't see that. Ma'am, will you turn your head, please? So they start over here in the corner, and we just braid into the center back of the head. All right, so where they meet, there's this little thread tie. So it's gonna be, if you skipped the pinch braid portion of this video, I don't blame you. So what we're gonna do is, here are these 2 braids. I can see where they are separating right here. And again, you're gonna have thread that matches your hair color as close as we could. So it might be really easy to see. If it's jet black, it might be very difficult to see. What you want to look for in that case is that thread becomes matte over time, and as that thread mattifies, it becomes a little easier to see against hair, because hair has a natural shine to it. So place our tips. I went slightly under here, under the white, under this thread. At the bottom, I'm just going to bring it up, snip. All right, great. We can pick that thread out, and now we have these 2 little thread ties that are holding our tails in. So these are stopping the cornrow from unraveling. If you did watch the pinch braid video, this is going to be the weirdest part. So you're just going to kind of find this thread, give it a nip. Nope. Just really light pressure, barely going under that thread, barely pushing into this hair. You know what? I made a snip and it didn't go anywhere. That's okay. Just make another little snip. I did a terrible job tying this. You guys, normally it's a nice, beautiful, solid band. Snip, snip, snip. Cool. If you've got your rat tail handy, we'll take the left side out with the rat tail. Insert it into that braid. Go ahead and pull through the ends of your hair. Maybe use your teeth of the comb to detangle. So I'm just picking a V in the braid where these legs meet, make this cute little V. Sticking the rat tail in there, gently pulling down. I'm gonna take it out the fastest, I find. Aha. Here we are on the end. Almost there. Woo. Great. So that's out. Beautiful. Now, if you don't have a rat tail, what are you going to do? Same thing. Get this out of the way. Then, find that braid. Then, using your fingers, wiggle it free a little bit. Get the teeth of your comb in there and just start gently combing from the bottom up. Comb from the bottom up, comb from the bottom up. If you're doing this for your friend, if you're the spouse or the partner or the roommate that, you know, who's being forced to watch this video, check in with your client. How are they doing? Are you pulling their hair? Are they crying? Do they need a glass of wine? Another trick you can do, especially since, you know, again, this will be about a good finger's width away from the scalp, is you can pinch that hair. That, like, let's say this is the grown up bit, you can pinch that. And what that's going to do is take the tension off of their hair as you're detangling. So you can, again, just pinch the section, scoop the comb in. That's just going to kind of be nicer for your client. All right, let's get this out. I don't know if you can see this, but that was a tiny little braid at the beginning. Sometimes your teeth aren't really gonna kind of get in there, teeth of the comb. So just be patient. Just keep going over that section and going over that section. It will eventually get the braid out. Great. Okay, you're still with me? Okay, so that is how you remove hair extensions. Again, at Hairpolice, we only use braids and thread to secure hair extensions because we find that the use of adhesives and harsh chemicals like acetone can really damage your hair and are generally trickier to sort of master because there is this ability to secure an extension to not enough hair to make the extension safe. So we use two methods, pinch braiding and weaving. Mine and you have a partial weave or a full sew-in weave. It's going to be the same as taking out one row of weave. It's just going to be a little more back and forth, zigzaggy. Look for the thread. It's going to be kind of more matte. Cut the thread. You know, keep pulling away at the weft, and that will sort of reveal where that weft of hair is going next and where you need to kind of travel with your scissor. Great. So now what do you do that you're taking out your extensions and you know you're going to want to put them back into your head right when we open and you can get your appointment? The best thing for you to do is to keep them as organized as possible. What I recommend is either getting a piece of paper or maybe a group of small white envelopes, and putting each row in and then labeling them. If you're using paper, you can even take some Scotch tape and just gently tape them down and write bottom row, middle row, whatever, you know. Indicate something. Usually there's going to be 5 rows of pinch braids. That is an average. That is not a requirement, nor is it necessarily what you have on your head, Karen. So that is going to be a general rule of thumb. If you lose track, that's okay. This is what we do. We take extensions out and reapply them constantly. It is our livelihood. So take your extensions out, keep them in some semblance of an order if you can, and if you can't, just keep them. Bring them with you to your next appointment. Wow us with how awesome you are at taking out your own extensions, and we will be so ready to put them back in for you. Great. If you have any questions, leave me a comment, shoot me a private message. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. If you're struggling with one of the things that I've gone over, if something maybe didn't make sense, maybe the wording I used didn't really resonate with you, let me know. I have ability to sort of meet you in the middle and find a language that we can share so that we can get this. And also, I'm gonna rewatch that video and make sure everything's mostly clear, but I know what I'm looking for, and maybe you don't. And so if I sort of pass it off as good and you aren't seeing what I'm talking about, we can do a one-on-one. I can put up still images that are very enlarged, so it's obvious. Draw pictures around them, circle areas, you name it. Let's get the hair extensions out, let's get your hair healthy, and let's get you ready for your next appointment with us. Thanks, and have a great day.